guessed that a conversation with a stranger on River Street, my first week in Savannah, would have ignited a flame in me that still burns and plagues me 10 years later? I had just moved to Savannah and felt that exploring River Street was a must-do. As I was casually perusing hundreds of Savannah t-shirts and must-have collectibles, I stumbled across a sign that read, "Hurricane Evacuation Plan. 1, grab beer. 2, run like hell." I was immediately intrigued. The employee must have seen my face and quickly came over. He assured me, "Oh, sweetie, don't worry. Hurricanes don't happen here." This sweet older gentleman further explained that the geography of Georgia, specifically the Georgia Bend, was a natural protection for Savannah, and that hurricanes, they just don't happen here. Wow. I felt an immense sense of relief. I carried that philosophy with me for months, never once questioned him. He was a local, clearly knew more than me. What would a girl who had just moved from the mountains of Virginia know about hurricanes? Well, that same girl was about to learn a very valuable lesson. Hurricanes can and will happen here. That wonderfully naive girl, not long after that encounter on River Street, she started a job at the Chatham Emergency Management Agency. Throughout my first several weeks on the job, I met dozens of Chatham County residents who all shared similar beliefs. Hurricanes don't happen here. In October of 2016, just 3 weeks after beginning this new professional journey, I watched our community undergo its first mandatory evacuation order in over 3 decades for Hurricane Matthew. In the days, weeks, and months that followed, I worked to help our residents recover from an incredibly dangerous and tragically deadly storm. Then, less than a year later, I watched it happen again during Hurricane Irma. I knew I could no longer stand by and allow our residents to believe and share this false sense of security. It could be deadly. I committed to learning as much as I could about hurricanes, going so far as to convincing my director to allow me to travel to Miami, Florida, to the National Hurricane Center. I wanted to be able to learn from the world's best. They helped me understand the history of our coastline and the unbelievable threats and hazards that exist during tropical storms and hurricanes. Our community is extremely susceptible to storm surge, which, contrary to popular belief, can send ocean water from Chatham County's coastline inland over 25 miles to the Effingham County line if the conditions of the storm align. By definition, storm surge is an abnormal rise of sea level generated by storm-driven winds and atmospheric pressure. In reality, storm surge is what happens during tropical storms and hurricanes, and is when the strong winds associated with these storms move ocean water in the standard counterclockwise motion of a hurricane. Water in some areas is pulled out or displaced, while water in other locations is pushed onto normally dry land. Georgia's coast is one of the reasons that we are so susceptible to storm surge. We have a shelf that is very shallow. It stretches out for nearly 100 miles. That's a large distance. In comparison, Florida's southeast coastline has a shelf that drops off very, very quickly. Water has to gain depth before it can push further inland. Seeing these two side by side, it's easy to see how Georgia's coastline can be so vulnerable. Let's take a look at what storm surge could look like right here in our community. In a Category 1 hurricane, there are several locations in the eastern portion of Chatham County that could have greater than 6 vertical feet of water. That is water sitting on normally dry land. Areas of Tybee Island, Whitmarsh Island, Burnside Island, and others could very easily have several feet of water. Now let's take it to a Category 5 hurricane, which is the highest level in the Saffir-Simpson scale. In a Category 5 hurricane, most of Chatham County could be underwater. A large portion of our community could have greater than 9 feet of water. Now, these maps are just of Chatham County, but the threat does not end at our county line. Other communities are also at risk in coastal Georgia. Now, I hear your thoughts. I see some of your faces. Not every storm is going to produce this catastrophic storm surge, and you're right. What factors need to align for us to see this type of impact? There are several, but today, let's talk about 3 of them. Number 1, storm intensity. Stronger winds will likely move more ocean water and ultimately produce a higher storm surge. Number 2, the storm's forward speed. Faster moving storms will likely move more water along the open coast, but slower storms. These are the storms that could push that water much further inland. Number 3, the angle of approach. The angle in which the storm comes in contact with our coastline will directly affect how much water could be pushed onto normally dry land. It is our collective responsibility to ensure that we're prepared, not only as individuals, but as a community. Hurricane preparedness doesn't have to be a daunting task. There are 5 things that we can begin working on today that can make a measurable impact. Number 1, allow yourself to be uncomfortable. Create your family evacuation plan and talk about it. Talk about it with your friends. Talk about it with your family. Bring it up in your social circles. Let's stop making excuses for why we can't prepare and encourage those around us to create their plan as well. Number 2, actually compile emergency supplies. That's right, a kit that you can use to evacuate, yes, and also one that you can use at home. Not every storm will require an evacuation order. Number 3, take a look at your home. Let's look at our neighborhoods. Are there things that we can do now to help mitigate the potential impacts of a storm in the future? Simple things: clearing debris, trimming trees, even cleaning your gutters can make a measurable impact. Number 4, take a look at your insurance policy and understand it. Consider flood insurance, even if you aren't required to have it. We just saw maps where a large portion of our community could be underwater if the conditions of the storm align. If you don't have the right policy, you could find yourself in a very difficult situation. Number 5, in every room and in every community, there are people who face barriers to preparedness. Access, it isn't always equal. For number 5, identify those within our community that may need additional assistance and help make preparedness possible for them. Believing hurricanes don't happen here won't stop the winds from blowing. It certainly won't hold back the water. What will make a difference is you. You creating your plan. You helping our neighbors. And you changing the conversation. Let's change the conversation from, "Oh, sweetie, don't worry. Hurricanes don't happen here," to a new kind of wisdom. I'm with the next person that's new to our community, walking down River Street to hear, hurricanes do happen here, and we know how to handle them. Let's get prepared, but not out of fear, out of love. Love for our city, love for our coast, and most importantly, love for each other. Thank you.